Ben Hogan's quote about fundamentals is true, but it's not the whole story. The reason these fundamentals were so important to Ben Hogan is because of what they did to one thing, his ball flight. It doesn't matter how pretty your swing is, if you're not delivering a functional ball flight, then you've wasted your time on these fundamentals. So today, we're going to go over the 5 fundamentals that Ben teaches in his 5 lessons, and we're going to talk about how each of these fundamentals is going to affect your ball flight. That's what matters. That's what you need to focus on. Now, Hogan says the grip is the most important part of this whole book. If you can't get your grip right, nothing else is going to go right. What he doesn't explain, and what some people fail to understand, is the reason he says this is the grip controls the start line of your shot. The grip controls how your face is angled at impact. That is the direct cause of your start line. Wherever that face is pointing when you hit the ball, that's where the ball is going to start. So with your lead hand, what you want to do, make a little crook with your index finger. And then once you have that crook, you're going to let the club rest in that crook. And then you're just going to let it rest against your palm here. And you're going to wrap your palm over the club. Now the V that makes should point to your right eye. Your trail hand, you're going to overlay the pinky over that index finger. And then these 2 fingers are going to go on the club kind of like a Spider-Man grip. And then you just kind of let the rest of your hand go over that. So the V in that right hand should point straight to the butt of your chin. That's how you set up the grip. All right, so that's grip. Next up is stance. Stance is going to give you a club path bias. So it's not going to tell your club where to go, but it's going to create a range where your club can go. It's also going to help determine the low point of your club and how consistent that is. So what Hogan taught with stance is every time you address the ball, you're going to make sure that the ball is just inside your lead foot. The lead foot's a quarter turn open, and your trail foot is determined by how long the club is. So the shorter the club is, the closer your trail foot's going to get to the ball. And as your trail foot gets closer, Hogan liked to open his stance up a little more. So the trail foot is getting closer to the ball. What he lost in power opening his stance with the short shots, he gained in control. Obviously, with your short irons and wedges, control is going to be much more important than distance. And then as you work your way back with the longer clubs, that trail foot goes further and further from the ball, and that helped him generate a lot of his power. It also helps control the low point of his swing to be more behind the ball. So again, your stance is up here with your irons, especially your short irons. You want to make sure you're coming down on the ball. That's what compresses the ball and gives it spin. So you want your low point to be consistently just after the ball with your irons and shorter clubs. With your driver and woods, you want your low point just behind the ball so that you get an upward angle of attack. That's going to give you optimal flight conditions, make the ball go farther. So that's what the stance controls. Very important that you recognize that, so when your ball is not doing what you want it to, you can correct. So say, for example, I'm chunking a lot of my iron shots. Well, perhaps my back foot is too far back and it's causing me to hit the ground before I get to the ball. So to fix that, we move the ball back in our stance a little bit, and we're going to make sure we get cleaner contact on it when we're hitting it with the irons. Next up in his book, Hogan's talking about our posture. So Hogan taught that the purpose of your posture is to keep the club on plane. So when you address the ball, Hogan taught to imagine that there's a plane of glass that extends from the ball to the tops of your shoulders. Tops of your shoulders, just under your neck. And when you swing, you want to keep your arms and your club on that plane the whole time. That's going to deliver repeatable results and take it where you want to go. So when we're standing too tall, we're going to lift the club above the plane and we're going to cut across it. That out to in path is going to result in a slice flight. And if we're too hunched over, we're going to bring our arms and the club below the plane. That's going to create too much of an in to out path, and that's going to result in a hook ball flight. So I'm going to give a quick example of both here. I'm standing up too tall. And that's a pull. Sometimes it'll slice. I closed the club face up, so it's not slicing a ton, even though I had that out to in path. But you can see it started left and stayed left. So that's what happens when I stand too tall. It's likely to start left and fade or slice. Now when I stand too crouched over and low, let's see what happens. Starts way out to the right. And that time I didn't close the face at all, so it stayed right. So my face was way open, but my path was into out. So it shot way out that direction. Now, let's try to get the posture just right here. That was a sky ball, but it's going to be straight. Fairly straight sky ball. Let's do one more for you. Straight as an arrow, down the middle, in the fairway. When you get your posture right, your flight's going to do what you want it to do. Okay, let's talk about the backswing. So the path of your backswing kind of sets you up for where you're going to be on your downswing. If I take my club head back, and it's going way out like this, that puts me in a position to have an out to in club path. That's going to result in a fade or a slice. If I do the opposite, where I bring it back behind me a lot, that's going to set me up for an in to out club path. It's going to result in a draw or a hook. Let's try a normal shot here. So I tried a straight club path and the ball went straight. Now I'm going to try to take the club back high, and you'll see that it's going to fade or slice it. So that was a fader. It was a sky ball. Now watch what happens when I bring my backswing flatter. It's going to result in a draw. So this is the perfect example. That didn't do what I thought it was going to do. I meant to draw that. I had the path right, but my face was open relative to the path, so my grip was bad. I didn't close the club face. My grip was not consistent. That's why Hogan says start with the grip, because even though I got my path right there for the draw, it didn't draw because I didn't have my grip right. Left the club face too open. So let's try that again. I'm going to focus on getting my grip right, making the hook, setting it in the pinky there, wrapping my hand around it. And there you go, a nice baby draw. So just because the flight doesn't do what you expected to doesn't mean you did that portion wrong. That first shot, we had the backswing right and a downswing right to create a draw. We didn't have our grip right to close the face properly. That's what Hogan's talking about. That's what's so important about these fundamentals. Get the grip right first, get the stance right, then move on to your posture, your backswing, your downswing. Everything's going to flow right as long as you get the original foundation right. Okay, that's it for backswing. Let's talk about our downswing. This is why I said it does not matter what you look like at all, because the only thing that's truly affecting the flight of your ball is what the club head is doing the instant before impact and the instant after impact. Everything else is just trying to set up that specific moment. In that small moment, there are so many things that can affect your ball flight. What direction is your club face pointed? What direction is your club path moving? How high off the ground is your club? Is your club moving downward? Is it moving upward? Where on the face is the club striking the ball? How fast is the club head moving? All of those things compacted into that microsecond is all that matters to be a good golfer. And Hogan builds all of these fundamentals to set you up and prepare you for that single instance when the magic happens, when the ball flight's created. So every time you're practicing, whether you're on the range, whether you're on the course, you need to be focusing on that single instance right before the club head hits the ball, right after the club head hits the ball. What is it doing? And it's a lot. Again, face direction, club head speed, path direction. Where on the face is it hitting it? Where's the low point of your swing? Is it after the ball? Is it before the ball? So that's it. All you got to do to get good at golf is control the instant when the club head hits the ball. Hogan's fundamentals are all to build up your preparation and your setup for that specific instance. Take this with you on your next practice session. Let me know how it goes, and we'll see you next time.